All right. Good morning, everybody. I realize, sorry, I didn't send out a notice on this. So you'll just have to catch it when you catch it, when one of the recordings, maybe, or maybe you'll catch this live if you see it. Um, I realized looking at my schedule this week that if I did not come in and do this early today is right now, the recording is taking place Monday, April 8th. Um, so we are doing a quick little segment here with my schedule this week. I realized I wouldn't be able to put one out if I didn't do it this morning. So I'm altering from my normal Wednesday schedule. Uh, so what I want to talk about today is you hear a lot of podcasts, you hear a lot of people talking about finding certain types of cards. You have to stick to a certain market. You can't make money doing this or doing that. And this hobby is so large. If you guys have followed me for a long time, you know that I cast a wide net. I dabble in all different types of sports, celebrity cards, non-sports cards. Dabble in a little bit of everything. I like to make money on everything that I'm doing so that I can afford to buy the cards for my personal collection, um, and not have to have that money tied up. So I do it with the profits from flipping. And so what we're going to talk about today and how to make money is I am going to give you 8 players to buy raw and grade that are not your stereotypical cards that you're going to find on any of these other YouTube channels or anything like that. These are all defensive players in the NFL. We don't talk about defense very much because they don't get the hype in the hobby. However, that does not mean that you cannot make money on defensive players, as you are going to see here in these 8 examples. Defensive players do have value. Defensive players, you can make money on them. And I just wanted you to be able to fish in another pond where there aren't as many people fishing. It might allow you to be able to make profits that are a little bit better than, I hate making small profits. I'm always shooting for doubling my money, but if I can get a 25 to 50% profit, that's okay. But anything less than 25 to me seems like a waste of my time and efforts. So these hopefully will help you. What I did in order to create this list is I looked at who the top 8 defensive players were in the NFL last year. By going with the top players, you're going to have people in that market that collect them. There are some people that collect defensive players, but not many. So we're going to start off. With Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald retired this year. I don't know if he's going to make a comeback or if he's going to stay retired, but Aaron Donald is a player that is going to be a future Hall of Famer. So this could be a long-term collect or a short-term flip. The choice is yours. But the card that we're going to be chasing for Aaron Donald is his 2014 Topps Chrome Refractor, card number 175. That card most recently sold on April 4th for $10. The 1-year average in market movers for this card is $12. So it's down a little bit from the year-long average. It has had 94 sales this year. So it's a relatively easy card to find. It may not be super easy, but 94 sales over the course of a year, it's certainly not a needle in a haystack. But if you can buy that card raw for $10 right now with the 10 card play at PSA, which runs through the end of April, it gives you the opportunity to buy one of every card on this list, maybe buy 2 of a couple, get a 10 card order in, and sit there and make profits on these guys once the football season rolls around. Or you should be able to flip these cards. The nice thing about the plays that I'm giving you, they're based on today's numbers. We know that football cards generally go up as preseason approaches. So these numbers that I'm going to present to you are based on now. So you should be able to do this, buy them, grade them, and flip them immediately or hang on to them a little bit longer and make even greater profits as the season rolls around. But in a PSA 9, this card most recently sold on March 30th. There are not a lot of PSA 9 sales on this card, but that card sold for $25. So if you buy the card for $10 raw, you do the special for $16. You got 26, call it $30 with shipping both ways invested. You're going to get $25 if it gets a PSA 9. So there's a little bit of a floor there, but not a lot of risk. But if it gets a PSA 10, the most recent sale was April 2nd for $151. Now you're taking a $30 investment and you are 5Xing your money. So that is a card that I would take a look at potentially doing. Now, the gem rate isn't great. The gem rate's only 25%. So it's 1 in 4. You're more likely to get a 9 than you are to get a 10. It's a 54% PSA 9 rate. But for a chance to 5X your money for basically a $5 investment, if you end up getting a PSA 9, I think that's worth the risk. Next player we're going to look at is Max Crosby. Max Crosby, the card we're going to look at here is the 2021 Mosaic Genesis. This is a short print from Mosaic. It's card number 110. This card currently sells most recently for $22 in raw condition. That 1 year average is $25. And that card's only had 17 sales in the last year. So this is going to be a little bit harder card to find. It only sells, 1 to 1.5 times per month. But you have plenty of time between now and the beginning of the season. So even if you get it at that 1 year average of $25, there's money to be made here. A PSA 9 most recently sold for $72. So you can see why, even if you pay $25, say you got to pay $30 with the grading fee, you're in it for $45, say $50 with shipping. A PSA 9 gets you $72. So now even after taxes and eBay fees, you're going to profit $5 to $7 on this card, even in a PSA 9. In a PSA 10, however, the most recent sale was $162. So for essentially a $40 investment, you can 4X your money. That card has a 66% gem rate. The PSA 9 is 33%. So it's 99% chance you're going to get a 9 or a 10 on that card. There aren't a lot on the pop reports. And that is a player that you should be able to find and grade and make some money on. The next player we're going to talk about is Ahmad Sauce Gardner from the New York Jets. The card we're going to target there is his 2022 Contenders Rookie Ticket Auto base card number 101. There are a lot of variations of this card. You could go with any of them. For the sake of doing this, I picked the base card, the base paper card, not the optic or premium or anything like that. The card recently sold for $29 on March 31st. The 1 year average of this card is $47. So the $33 most recent sale, the last 3 sales have been coming down on this card. I think that's why I'm doing this video on defensive players. Defensive players aren't often in the limelight, and you're going to see a bigger fall off in the offseason on defensive players typically than you will on offensive players, quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs. But if you had to pay the $50, there's still money to be made if you had to pay the 1 year average. This card has 31 sales in the last year, so it sells, you can find about 3, on average 3 per month get sold. In a PSA 9, this card sells for $45 currently. So there is a little bit of a risk there. You're going to be out your grading fees and shipping if it gets a PSA 9. But the PSA 9 is only coming in at 33%. There are only 24 PSA 9s out there. The reason I like this card is in a PSA 10, which has a 60% gem rate. 43 out of 71 cards have come back PSA 10. It's a $106 card. So you can easily 2x to 2.5x your money on this card. And with a 60% gem rate, the odds are pretty high that you will make money on this play. The next player we're going to talk about is Micah Parsons. The card we're going to target there is his 2021 Prism Silver, card number 382. Now, 2021 Prisms had a lot of centering issues, so you're going to want to really pay attention when you're buying this card in raw condition to make sure that you are trying to find a well-centered card before you send it in. However, the card is cheap. The most recent sale on April 2nd was $6. The 1 year average is $15. So even at $15, it's not a big investment. And there have been 136 sales. So this card sells often, and it's cheap. So you buy it for $6, or you pay the 1 year average of $15. You add in your bulk PSA April special. You're in the card for anywhere from $20 to $35, depending upon what you have to pay for it. A PSA 9 most recently sold in this card for $24.50. So if you get it for $6, the most recent comp, and pay the fees, you're going to break even. If you have to pay the 1 year average, you're going to lose your grading fee of about $15. The PSA 9 does get a 53% rate, 295 out of 550 cards. However, if you get a PSA 10, there is a 35% gem rate, so you got a 1 in 3 chance essentially. The PSA 10 most recently sold for $105. So if you can get this card for $6, pay the fees, so you get $21, $22 with shipping in it. You can 5x your money at $105. This is a card maybe I would do in bulk. If you can get it for that $5 to $10 range, maybe buy 5 or 6 of these, because they do grade kind of hard. And you could, if you get 1 or 2 10s, you're going to really have a chance to make some big profits on this card for not a lot of investment. $20 to $22 all in. There's my light for those of you that have watched my show in the past. I'm here at work this morning. My light is on a timer, so I wasn't moving around enough. So that's light number 1. Anyways, I have 4 more plays for you guys here this morning. We're going to get more and more popular with each one. The next one is Nick Bosa. The card we're going to target for Nick Bosa is his Optic Hollow, card number 168. That card in raw condition most recently sold for $5 on April 2nd. The 1 year average is 13. So if you got to pay $10 to $15, go ahead and do it if it's a nice clean copy. The card has only sold 27 times, so it's about 2 to 2.5 times per month you're going to find this card. So it's going to take you a little bit of effort to find the card. Because it's a defensive player, it doesn't transact as often. However, in a PSA 9, the card most recently sold for $27.50. So even if you got to pay the 1 year average of $13 and you pay the PSA grading fee, you're basically essentially breaking even. You're going to lose your eBay fee when you sell the card. So very low floor on this card. PSA 9s are at 47%. A PSA 10 will net you $110. So if you can get it at current comps of $5, or you pay the 1 year average of 13, you got $20 to $30 invested in the card, depending upon what you paid for it. You're going to get anywhere from a 3 to 5x your money at $110. These are the types of returns that I'm looking for, guys. I want a 2, 3, 4, 5x my money. If I'm going to be doing this, I'm not looking for a 10 or 20% return. It's not worth my time or my effort. The bigger the home run, the less cards you need to hit the PSA 10 in order to turn a profit on your 10 card order or your 20 card order or whatever you're sending into PSA. Myles Garrett is the next one we're going to talk about. Myles Garrett, 2017 Prism Silver. Now, in 2017, the silver was the base Prism, but they are not real high pop counts. So this is a card that 2016 and 17 Prism. I really like that card in a silver. It's card number 242. The most recent sale in raw condition was $15.50 just a couple of days ago. The 1-year average is $15. So this card is currently selling at its eBay 1-year average. Matter of fact, I saw a couple of buy it nows right now for $15 on eBay when I looked at this. There have been 180 sales of this card. So this is one of the easier cards on this list to find. The card sells quite often with 180 sales in the last year. A PSA 9 will net you $28. If you spend $15, you do the grading special, you got $32 with fees and grading in it, shipping. At $28, you're going to be out essentially a couple of bucks. Very, very low floor. PSA 9s get a 48% clip at PSA. If you get a PSA 10, however, it's $185 is the most recent sale. Now, if you're talking about a $30 investment and you can get a $180 return, the gem rate is 41% on this card. So there's 319 PSA 10s, 41% for a chance to 6x your money. With 180 sales in the last year, this is a card I might buy 2 or 3. And if you buy 3 and you get one that hits a 10, it pays for the other 2, and you're still 2 to 3xing your money. So this is an opportunity card for you guys to make a little extra bank to pay for some of your other plays that might be a little bit more risky. That's the other thing I like doing. When I find these plays and I can 3, 4, 5x my money, it allows me to be a little bit more risk adverse in some of the other plays that I'm doing. I might be willing to take a risk on something that has a much higher risk level, knowing that I'm going to have the profits coming back from an easy layup play like this to help offset if I do lose money on something else. So I'm not afraid to lose money on plays. Sometimes you got to take some risk in order to hit the home runs. When you play it conservative, yes, you can do this in a conservative way to where you hardly ever, if ever, lose money. But that isn't a lot of fun, and you never hit the home runs. And just like watching baseball, all the fun is in the home runs. So I'm trying to give you some home run plays to balance out your portfolio with some of these easier, more conservative plays. You need a little bit of both if you're going to be doing this flipping game and you want to turn profits. So the next card is my favorite card on this list. There's two players left. It's the 2 best players left in the NFL after Aaron Donald retired. We are talking Chris Jones. Just got a huge contract to stay in Kansas City. Perennial Super Bowl contender, has several Super Bowl rings, one of the best defensive players in all of the NFL. The card we're going to chase here is the 2016 Optic red and yellow. We're picking the red and yellow because it is a perfect color match. You know, guys, I am a sucker for the color matches. This is a color match from 2016. The card most recently sold in raw condition for $16. The 1-year average is $12. So what does that tell you? That tells you that after they won the Super Bowl, this card took a pretty good jump. The card is down in the last 90 days since the Super Bowl, but this card in raw condition got all the way up to $35. However, the 1-year average is $12 because basically all last offseason and all season, you could buy this card for $6 to $8. So the 1-year average is $12 because of the Super Bowl driving that average up. But right now it's currently 16. If you want to wait and see if the card drops to 10, 12 bucks, go ahead, but you can make money at 16. So I would be actively looking for this card. It has had 71 sales. So the card sells about 5 times a month or once a week. You can find one of these selling on eBay. Here's what I really like, guys. This card has a PSA 9, 40% rate of a PSA 9, but the card most recently sold just 2 days ago in a PSA 9 for $50. Just like the raw card, the PSA 9 has dropped quite a bit since the Super Bowl win. However, you buy the card even at the higher number than the average right now at 16 bucks. You pay the grading fee, you got $32, $33 with shipping all in. And if you get a 9, you're still profiting. After eBay fees, you're still going to profit $5 to $7 on a PSA 9. These are the plays where the floor is profit. These are the plays that if you can find multiples of this card, this is the card that you want to go and get. There is an auction ending, I think, in the next day or two on eBay. So if you go after that card, you will have to bid against me because I am going to bid on that card. I'm going to try and buy that one myself. As I always tell you guys, I do not do these plays, or I will not suggest plays for you guys that I'm not willing to do myself or I'm not already doing. I am targeting all 8 of these players. I will be doing these plays on all 8 of these players, and I will be profiting on them with you if you decide to do this with me. We have time, and this is easy money, I would like to say, because we're not all going out and chasing the hyped players of the quarterbacks or the college Bowman draft stuff, which right now with the draft coming up is getting really hot. And I wouldn't touch that stuff right now with a 10-foot pole. I would be selling. Matter of fact, I am selling almost all of my Bowman drafts. I am not waiting for the NFL draft. I've learned my lesson this year with the Churios and Holidays and Woods of the baseball world, where when the hype is there and the profits are there, don't get greedy and wait. Go ahead and cash in. So I'm cashing in now on my football plays. You should be too. The PSA 10 of this Chris Jones card. So PSA 9 is 50. A PSA 10 most recently sold for $101. $101, guys, is actually below what it was selling for previously to the Super Bowl. This is often what happens with these cards. These cards spike on the Super Bowl win, and then there's a huge correction. And this card is actually selling for less right now in a PSA 10 than it was prior to the Super Bowl. So this is almost a 1-year low at $101, which is why I really like this card as well. There's going to be more hype on the Chiefs as the season rolls along. And it's got a 56% gem rate because this is a paper card. 56% gem rate. I like that card. You can 4x your money, 3x your money if you got a 35, let's just call it round up to $35. You can 3x your money on this card for a perennial Super Bowl contender and a multi Super Bowl winning player. The last player on this list, if you followed, I forgot to post on Instagram yesterday. I forgot to post my pickup of the day. I got carried away with the kids getting ready. Spring break is over. They went back to school today. So I just too much on my mind. I completely spaced it and forgot it. So I put my pickup on Instagram early this morning when I woke up. Yesterday's pickup was this card as I'm starting to do these plays, guys, as I'm talking about. If you've seen Instagram, you know what this card is. This card is a 2017 Prism Silver. Again, the 17 silvers are the base cards. Card number 216, TJ Watt. TJ Watt is arguably the best player defensively in the NFL right now. There are several on this list that you could argue might be the best in the NFL. I'm going to argue it's TJ Watt. Now that Aaron Donald has retired, he has passed the torch. And I think that you could make a great argument that TJ Watt is the best current defensive player in the NFL and will be for several more years. He's on a great defensive team, and he is in the limelight a lot. His brother is doing some of the announcing and things, so it's a player that he and his family will be in the limelight for a while, even after they retire. So this could be a short-term or a long-term investment. Raw currently selling for $31 as of April 2nd, a few days ago. I had to pay $35 for a buy it now last night because I used the centering tool. It looked perfectly centered. It looked from the pictures like it did not have any surface issues. So I took the chance and I paid a few dollars over the current comps to get what I thought was the cleanest one on eBay right now in this price range. The 1 year average on this card is $27. So I paid $8 over the 1 year average. But again, I paid it because it's a copy that looked really good, and I'm willing to pay a little bit more than average for one that I think has a legitimate shot at gemming. There have been 154 sales of this card in the last year. So this card sells regularly on eBay. Plenty of opportunities to find a good copy of this card. In a PSA 9, it most recently sold 2 days ago for $50. So even at $35, what I paid with the grading fee, be $51, $52, call it $53 with shipping. I'll basically be out my eBay fees if I get a PSA 9. This card gets a PSA 9 at a 43% rate. However, a PSA 10 is $142. Just yesterday was the most recent comp on that card. And that card gems, believe it or not, a silver 2017 gems at 52.7%. It's only a pop 485. So it's a relatively low pop count. It's a relatively easy card to find of what is now arguably the best defensive player in the NFL. So there again, I paid $35. I'm going to have, round up, call it $55 in it. It's an opportunity for me to 3x my money at a 50% chance. So those are the 8 players. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I like to bring you guys something that's unique and different than what you're seeing on all of the other channels. Don't believe the people when you hear them say you can't make money on defensive players. It is just not true. I make a lot of money every year on defensive players. It's actually, I think, easier to make money on defensive players. And the reason is there aren't as many people trying to do it. So the pop counts are lower. The people that go after defensive players are not typically flippers like you and I. The people that go after defensive players are typically collectors, people that are diehard fans from their collective, from their team. And they want the best defensive player on their team. They want to get that card. They want to collect it. So it makes it a little bit easier to flip for profit for you and I, because collectors generally will pay a little bit more. They don't care about recent comps. They don't care about whether or not there's any meat left on the bone. They just want that card, and they want it in a PSA 9 or a 10 so that they can put it in their collection and say that they have one of their favorite players from their teams. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you guys enjoy it. Have a great week, and continue to watch the daily pickups, as you will probably see some more of these defensive players this week in my pickups of the day. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.